Okay, good morning, everyone. I have 9 a.m., so we will get started with today's new principal and new AD meeting for our middle schools. And before we'll get started, I would like to introduce Commissioner Jerome Singleton.
Thank you, Ms. Boozer. Good morning to everybody. This is a new way for us to hold meetings, of course. We're doing more virtually than we ever had in the past. But we appreciate you taking time from your busy day to join us as we try to take you through some information that we think will be very useful to you. The key to this being very successful is your active participation. Please don't hesitate to ask us questions. That's the best way that we can share it with you. Where something may come commonplace to us, where we think that everybody's aware of it, that's not necessarily true to everybody. So don't hesitate to ask us questions. I think Ms. Boozer will be sharing with you the process to use to ask us those questions, and know that we're here for you. We want to help you to be successful. We want to help your programs to go smoothly. We know you're just getting started with the new school year, and there are many challenges. The COVID virus has not been a friend to us, so we're spending a lot of time trying to figure out how to deal with that. And we know that you're dealing with that. So we want to take the time to answer your questions that's going to help you be able to navigate this a little bit better. Again, we appreciate you taking the time to be a part of this presentation that will be coming to you. It will be very informative, but don't allow us to move too fast. If we need to slow the process down, don't hesitate to do that. Thank you. Turn it back over to Ms. Boozer.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Singleton. All right, we are going to get started. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all. Okay, and as I said, this is our new middle school principal and AD meeting. And just so you know, this meeting is being recorded. And as we go through the meeting, if you have any questions, I'm going to ask that you put those questions in the chat box. So you'll see at the bottom of your Zoom meeting, there is an opportunity for you to place things in the chat box. I will have Charlie Winsky in our office. He'll kind of be monitoring that, and either he'll be responding back and to you in the chat, or either he'll bring the question to the group and we will answer it that way. So as you can see, I'm Amy Boozer. I'm one of the associate commissioners here at the league office, and I oversee the middle school rules and regulations. So I will be your person that if you have questions regarding middle school that you would contact here at the league office. And you can see I have shared with you my contact information. So I have my email address, the office number for you, as well as the cell number in case you need me after hours. So this is our information. Our office is open from 7:30 until 4 each day. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me or give me a call, and I'll be happy to assist you in any way that I can. Okay, we have a middle school task force. The middle school task force has been around. Last year, we actually expanded the middle school task force, and you can see that we actually have it broken down into 12 districts. And these are the members that were on the task force last year. I do know that we may have one or two that have taken new roles, and we may be looking for new task force members. But we'll get that information out after our first task force meeting. And as you begin this career in middle schools as a principal or as an athletic director, if you are interested in serving in the middle school task force, you would just simply need to contact me, and I could definitely put your name on a list. And as a position comes open, can make you aware of that. And you can see we have a map of what these districts are. So it does represent the entire state. It's broken up into areas to represent, so we can hear from our middle schools. So we're excited about the expansion that we made last year, and looking forward to working with this task force again this year as we take on new challenges. Okay, we have a new website, so I hope you have gone to the website, and all of the information that we cover today can be found in the AD notebook. We have our bylaws, constitution, and then you will see our middle school rules and regulations. So this is going to be what you need to go to and the most information that you can find. And also share this with your coaches, because the middle school rules and regulations will cover the rules and regulations for those particular sports as well. So I encourage you to go to the website, encourage your coaches to go to the website and familiarize themselves with these rules and regulations. A lot of these will be things that we are going to cover today. And just so you know, this meeting is being recorded. So if you do need to refer back to it, it will be posted on our website as well. All right, rules and regulation. And these regulations apply to all 7th, 8th, and 9th grade students who are participating in junior high or middle school programs, as well as students participating exclusively on the 7th and 8th grade teams that are under the high school program. And just be reminded that students below 7th grade may not participate in interscholastic athletics. So that means 6th graders are not allowed to participate in athletics. So they have to be in the 7th grade. Students in 7th and 8th grade will not be permitted to participate on varsity teams in football, wrestling, and lacrosse and soccer. So they can only participate on a sub-varsity or middle school team in these sports, but they are not allowed to be on the varsity football, wrestling, lacrosse, or soccer, as these are considered contact sports. Football is the only sport where a student cannot participate on an outside team while in season. So they cannot be on an outside team in football. They can only be on one football team. And then practice in all sports may not exceed 2 hours per day. So make sure your coaches are aware of that. All right, middle school sports, you are allowed 1 scrimmage and 1 jamboree and 2 tournaments. Now this did change with the scrimmage, so it has been reduced to just 1 scrimmage. You are allowed 1 jamboree and 2 tournaments. And what is a jamboree? So a jamboree is where a team cannot play more than a half of a regulation contest. We see jamborees mainly in football and basketball, and basically you're playing 1/2 of that contest. You can look, I put some other examples for volleyball. A jamboree would only be 2 sets. So that means they're only playing 2 sets to 25 points against one opponent. So they can't play multiple opponents and play 2 sets. And then you can see wrestling is 1 period per wrestler, and then baseball, softball would be 3 innings. So these are some examples of what jamborees look like. And like I said, the most common jamborees we see are going to be football and basketball. Schools may charge admission. So you can charge admission for the jamboree, and you can also charge admission for 1 scrimmage. And again, remember, if you have any questions, and I know right now it's just some general information, but if you have questions, please place those in the chat room. All right, so there are some differences between our high school rules and our middle school rules. So please be mindful of that. Make sure you're in the middle school section and not in the high school section. For example, our number of scrimmages and jamborees are different. So the number of scrimmages for high school, they are allowed 2, whereas middle school, you are allowed 1. Competition time limits in selected sports. So for example, baseball and softball, they have a 2-hour time limit for that sport. You have the practice time limit of 2 hours. And then the 75% rule, how that applies for outside teams is going to be differently for our middle schools than for our high schools. All right, original eligibility. So a student will establish their eligibility when they are academically promoted to and first attend school in the 7th grade. So your 7th graders that started with you to start this school year are establishing their original eligibility. These students are going to be eligible at this school and the school that it feeds until they attend another school. If your middle school, so if your feeder school supplies students to more than 1 high school, then each student's eligibility on a high school team is going to be determined by the attendance area of the high school in which they live. So the residents must be in the school district of the middle school that the student is attending. Then if we have a residence that is not in the school district of the middle school, which feeds multiple high school, that the student is attending, that student shall be eligible at the district's public high school in whose attendance area the middle school's physical plant is located. So this is how it determines where your middle schoolers would be eligible if they're going to participate, let's say on a cross-country team for a high school. This is going to determine where their eligibility is going to be. So it's either going to be based on where that student lives within the district. If they do not reside in the district, then it's going to be based on where the physical plant of the middle school is located. And then you notice down here at the bottom, I have unless alternately assigned by the school district. All alternate assignments are in effect the affected school year. So the superintendent or school district can alternately assign a middle school student to have eligibility at one of the high schools in the district. So again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I know sometimes this can get a little bit confusing, and feel free to ask after the meeting if you have questions as well. So eligibility. This is what schools should keep on file for all of your student athletes. An official birth certificate, copy of their official birth certificate, their physical, the parent's permission signature form, and then any other submitted eligibility forms such as their grades and so forth that you want to keep on the student in the student's folder. So this is information you're going to need to gather to determine eligibility. And student academic eligibility. So student athletes must be academically promoted to meet eligibility for first semester. So those 7th and 8th grade students must be meeting the school district promotion policy at the end of first semester in order to be eligible second semester. So that's how you're going to determine if they're meeting that district policy for promotion, their second semester eligibility. And we'll actually do a meeting prior to you starting second semester just to kind of go over a few things. Note a 7th or 8th grade repeater. They will not be eligible if they meet the academic promotion requirements during the previous year. So sometimes we get into middle school, we have a parent that wants to hold that 7th grader or 8th grader. They want them to repeat that year. They were academically promoted, but they're wanting to hold them back a year. Note that those students will not be eligible. If you have a student who failed 7th or 8th grade, this student can gain eligibility for second semester if they have satisfactorily passed first semester work. So again, you would look at, are they meeting that district promotion policy at the end of first semester? Age limitations. There are age limitations for our middle school students. So if a student becomes 15 years of age prior to July 1st of the upcoming school year, they will not be able to compete on an 8th grade team and in any athletic activity. So they would not be eligible for an 8th grade team or just a middle school team. Instead, they would be considered enrolled in the 9th grade for athletic eligibility purposes. So if the student becomes 15 years of age prior to July 1st, then that student would have to go up to the high school and be considered enrolled in the 9th grade for athletic eligibility purposes. Right, advanced participation. So a junior high or middle school student promoted to a varsity or JV team may not return to the junior high or middle school team if they participated at the level. So if you have a middle school student that's, let's say middle school volleyball, because we're in the fall and we have a lot of middle school volleyball, and for some reason the coach wants to bring that middle schooler up, if they participate at that level, then they cannot return back to the middle school. And participation is defined as being in the same uniform and permitted in the bench area of one of the competing teams. So if they simply dress in uniform and they sit on the bench for a match, that student athlete would not be able to return to the middle school to participate. Now, if a middle school student starts at the varsity level or JV level, they can move down. So they may have them and they may start them out with the varsity and realize, they're not quite ready yet. They can move down. So there are rules on advanced participation and when a student can move down or when the student has to remain up with that higher level team. All right, transfers. All transfers should be treated as ineligible until the student is submitted on Planet HS. To be eligible, the transfer must meet one of the criteria for eligible transfers stated in the SCHSL bylaws, section 10. All transfer forms must be completed prior to competing, and athletes not eligible cannot play in a scrimmage, jamboree, or contest. So if they're not eligible, they simply cannot participate in any scrimmages, jamboree, or contest, but it does not prevent them from being able to practice with the team. That would be a decision that the school could make. So the student could potentially still practice, but just could not dress for any competitions. For all transfers, you need to check the first two questions. So these requirements are for all transfers. Is the student eligible to represent the school from which they are leaving? And did the student participate on an outside team in which a coach, including volunteer coach, coached or had input into the selection of the outside team? If a student does not meet one of these two requirements, then they would not be an eligible transfer. And these are just some common transfers that we see with middle school, and that's the bona fide change of address, the intra-district transfer, so meaning you're transferring within your school district, and then the non-member to member schools. These are just some common ones we see with middle schools. There is a list, it's like A through N, so there are a lot more you can find in our bylaws. But these are just some of the most common ones that we do see with middle school. If you have a student who does not meet eligibility, so if you have a student that does not meet eligibility regarding one of the hardships, the school can apply for a hardship if you believe a hardship exists. And we kind of cover what hardships are in the bylaws under section 5. So you would want to refer to that. A lot of it could be like a medical hardship or a financial hardship, extraordinary circumstances. So you would just want to look at that. Now the school can decide if there is a hardship, and you can apply for a hardship to Commissioner Singleton. The commissioner would then review and either approve or deny the hardship. If the hardship is denied, then the school can appeal to the executive committee. The executive committee would then either approve or deny. And then if denied, the final appeal could go to the appellate panel. So that would be the final appeal if you deem to take it that far. So there is an opportunity if there are some extraordinary circumstances that you feel could not be unavoidable and you would like to seek a hardship. Charter school and homeschools, and we are seeing more of our students growing and taking opportunities in the homeschool and the virtual online charter schools, as well as we are seeing more brick and mortar charter schools being created throughout our state. So state law is going to cover a lot of this information. So students who attend a public charter school that does not offer the sport are eligible to play only where they are zoned to attend. So if you have a charter school student or they're doing the virtual online charter, they are eligible to play where they are zoned to attend. So if they're zoned to attend your school, they would be eligible to play if the school does not offer that sport. Students who are homeschooled, and these are going to be homeschooled, they're like with a homeschool association, are only eligible to play where they are zoned to attend. And there is an exception to the must be homeschool for a year previously to be ineligible. So for the 2021-22 school year, they do not have to wait that year to be eligible. So homeschool students could be immediately eligible for this year. You want to check with your parent to find out if they are in a homeschool association or if they're just taking classes at home online through a charter school. So sometimes they tell you we're doing homeschool, and a lot of times you find out they're doing the virtual online charter. That's going to be important when we move past to the next school year where this exception is not in place, because their homeschool student would technically have to wait out a year. But with the exception that legislation put in this year, they do not. Just a reminder, these are not transfer students. You do not have to fill out a transfer form for these students because they are not considered transfers, but they are eligible to participate where they are zoned to attend, only where they are zoned to attend, and that is state law. All right, some coaching requirements. So all coaches every year have to take these 4 courses on nfhslearn.com. You have the concussion course, heat acclimatization, sudden cardiac arrest, and protecting students from abuse. So these courses are required. And then we have 2 recommended courses for NFHS Learn. We have the COVID-19 and the collapsed athlete. So those are recommended courses for your coaches. All of your coaches should be CPR and AED certified. So that has to take place every 2 years. And then this is just for your head coaches. If you have any head coach who is a non-district employee, they must take the Fundamentals of Coaching course. And that course can be located on nfhslearn.com as well. I'm just going to pause. Do we have any questions or anything? Don't see anything in the chat. All right, just some safety and health. Wet bulb globe thermometer. You all should be monitoring that at your schools to determine what your student athletes can be doing. I know there are some restrictions on what can and cannot be taking place. So make sure you are monitoring the wet bulb globe thermometer. Physicals for this year must be dated on or after April 1st, 2021 to be valid. So all physicals, if they are dated April 1, 2021 or after, are valid for this school year. If a student comes to one when it's March 30th, that is not going to be accepted. Again, it has to be April 1, 2021 to be valid. Make sure you have an emergency action plan for your facility for each sports season. So those of you that are new ADs or new principals, you may want to get together, see what your emergency action plan is for your facility and have that ready, or maybe review the one that was put in place prior to you taking over. And then for football, immersion tubs or other types of cooling devices are required for football. So you would have to have some type of cooling device out for football practice and at contest. Okay, moving on to our officials. For middle school, we recommend you use certified officials for contest. High school students are not to be used as game officials. And please provide a clean and secure dressing facility and security post-contest. So when those officials are coming for your football and basketball games, you want to make sure they're having a clean, secure dressing facility and that security is provided to them post-contest. And with your officials, I'll get to that when we get to arbiters. So let's hold up. Okay, going to cover a little bit regarding ejections. The middle schools are, they have ejections as well as the high schools. This is something that we, frown upon. We do not like seeing any of our student athletes being ejected, but it does happen. If you have a student athlete, so if you have a student athlete who is ejected from a contest, the school must submit an ejection report. So the official will submit one, but in addition, the school must submit an ejection report as well. And that needs to be submitted either following the contest at night or first thing the next morning. The student athlete can remain in the bench area, but they cannot return to play, and they would be deemed ineligible until they're cleared by the SCHSL. So they're going to have to serve their game suspension. And you can see we have minimum game suspensions. So again, these are the minimum. They can have more than what's posted here, depending on the severity of the action for the ejections. So for football, swim, lacrosse, and cheer, it is a 1-game suspension. Golf, volleyball, and wrestling would be a 2-game suspension. And then basketball, baseball, softball, tennis, and soccer would be a 3-game suspension. If there's a second ejection in the same sport, that would be a 2-week suspension. And you all do not have playoffs, so that does not apply to you. What happens if a coach is ejected? And we are seeing our numbers increase with our middle school coaches being ejected. The coach is solely responsible for their actions, and, being ejected is a choice that they made based on how they respond and treat the official. So But if you have a coach, the same thing. The school must submit an ejection report. And again, that needs to be submitted after the contest at night or first thing the next morning. The coach does have to leave the facility or stadium immediately and cannot return. The coach would not be allowed to return at any level until cleared by the SCHSL. So you may have a middle school coach that helps the football team on Friday night. Well, if that middle school coach were to get ejected on Friday night from a contest, then that coach cannot return to coach at any level. So they would have to serve their suspension on the varsity Friday night prior to them being able to return to the middle school game and coach. So again, they have to serve the suspension at the level, and they're not allowed to coach anything until that suspension has been cleared. It is a 2-game suspension and a $300 fine. And we have in here, this is new, but it's actually been in place for 2 years now. Suspensions must be served the level where the ejection occurred. And if they are ejected from the final contest, it would be a $500 fine. So again, really emphasize to your coaches the importance of sportsmanship, not only for them as a coach, but to encourage that in their student athletes as well. Make it your goal that your school's not going to have any ejections. Really try to strive to make that your goal, that your school's going to be ejection free for athletes and coaches. Here is your 2021-22 sports calendar. And this has been sent out to the schools. I think it is posted on our website as well. If you would like a copy of this, you can just simply email me and I can definitely send you this, but it's just a snapshot of your first practice, scrimmage, first contest, and last contest for the year. And it covers pretty much all the sports that potentially could be offered on the middle school level. And you can see we're all right here in fall sports right here. Volleyball first contest will be coming up the 31st, and your competitive cheer and football with September 8th. So these are our sport calendar dates. All right, very important that I gave you those sport calendar dates, but you also have what we consider open and closed season and what can and cannot be done during those times. So during an open season, and your winter sports will be having an open season coming up in, I think September 13th. So it'll be coming up soon. So during that time, they would have the opportunity for 20 days of practice. The school facility may be used. It has to be open to all students, and it cannot be mandatory. So again, open season, and each fall, winter, spring sports has an open, closed season. Closed season will take place for your fall sports, or really all of your winter and spring sports are considered in closed season right now, meaning that right now a coach cannot work with any of these athletes. The students are not allowed to use school facilities on their own. You can't have an open gym and say, hey, we're just going to open the gym and let kids come in and shoot basketball. That would be considered a violation. You could have strength and conditioning activities, so you can have them in the weight room or doing some running programs with them. That can take place, but you cannot do any sports specific skills or training during the closed season. And you are in closed season once regular season for you ends, and until you will reach your open season or you reach the months of June and July. So June and July is an open practice period for everyone except the dead week, which that is July 4th. And then you could also have 10 dates for competition. So you could actually have some middle schools in your area and decide you're going to do some competitions, and you have 10 dates for those. And again, here are our open season dates. So like winter sports, if you notice, they're going to start September 13th through October 27th. Spring sports, December 6th through January 26, 2022. And then our fall sports have the window from May 1 to May 31st. Only exception there is competitive cheer can begin April 5th through May 31st. All right, many of you, I think, hopefully are aware, we have an online directory, and our league has introduced this digital version of the directory. And what you have to do is you have to create an account, and update the directory with any changes of principals, athletic directors, athletic secretaries, coaches, etc. throughout the school year. So when we get off this meeting, I do ask that you check to make sure, one, you have an online directory, two, that you have it set up to where your principal's name and email address are located in there, your athletic director name and email address are listed in there, and then as well as your head coaches. So this is tied to our email system. So the new directory is linked to the mass email list that is sent out from our office. And starting August 30th, this will be the only system that we use to send out emails. So it's important that you need to make sure your school's directory is complete and updated as necessary to ensure that you are receiving emails from our office. So I ask that you just check the online directory, make sure your information is updated. If you need assistance, or if your principal and our AD are not getting emails from our office, after being in the directory, please notify Keith. And I've placed Keith's email address in here. It's just simply keith@schsl.org. So if you're not getting emails, it's important that we contact him to see what's going on, especially check first to make sure you're listed in the online directory prior to doing that. And then if you're still not getting emails, let us know. And one way you can find out, I'll tell you, Tuesday News comes out every Tuesday. You should be getting that Tuesday News from our office. And I do know some of you contacted me today that you had not received an email. So we just want to work on that. All right, league passes. Once your online directory is set up and they can email out to you, league passes probably the next thing you're trying to tackle and get taken care of. Those are through Dragonfly Max. And if you have questions or need assistance with your league passes, you would contact Jan Hogan in our office. Let me double check. I don't see any questions. Again, remember, if you have any questions, please let me know. All right, Planet HS. So Planet HS is where you're going to do your eligibility. A lot of you have probably already set that up, but if for some reason you do not have an account, send an email to Jan, and her email address is simply jan@schsl.org. When you send that email, make sure you include your school name, your name, and then the position, principal or athletic director, and an email will be sent when your account is set up. And if you see, this is a snapshot of what Planet HS is going to look like. And manage semester setup, that's what most of you have probably already done. And then you will see manage eligibility. That is where you'll actually go in and you will enter your eligibility for your football, volleyball, or competitive cheer teams that you are offering this fall. Planet HS is also used for where you'll do your transfer forms. So you would actually fill this information out here. When you go to Planet HS, there's a big blue tab that says eligibility transfer, and you would click there and complete your transfer form on Planet HS. So you'll do a lot of work on Planet HS with your eligibility of your students and inputting that information. All right, sanctioning. So jamborees, invitationals, tournaments, and showcases, they have to be sanctioned through our office. So if you, hopefully if you are having a jamboree for football, you've already gotten that in. Maybe you're having a volleyball tournament, you would need to go online and go to the AD notebook to complete the sanctioning form. And those are to be submitted to our office. And then we do have a list of tournaments and jamborees that have been approved. So you could check that to see if it has been approved. And then Arbiter will be another account that you will work in. This is where you set up your contest, and you would need to contact your director for the sport. So if it's football, you need to look at our website, go to the officials page, click on football, and see what director is in your area. That director will be assigning for your football, the same as volleyball, the same as basketball. So on our website, you'll see a tab that says officials, and you would want to contact them. They can assist you with your arbiter, telling you where it needs to be, where you need to put your games in and so forth. And if you have other questions or issues with Arbiter, you can definitely give us a call here or call Arbiter directly. We'll be glad to help you. Or if you need to make sure your account is set up with Arbiter, please reach out to Jan as well with that. All right, before we get started, I think, was there any questions in the chat? All right, if your school is not in the directory, you need to send an email to Keith and he'll send you that information on how you set that directory up. All right, Danny, are you on?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Before we end, I want to turn it over to Danny Brooks. I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen here. Okay, Danny.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to try to share my screen. Keith, can I share my screen? Got a quick commercial for you.
You should be good to go, Danny.
Thank you. I'm sharing with you our very first Health and Wellness Summit. And I got a quick commercial for you here that I would like to share.
Hello, I'm Mark Ohala, President and CEO of Prisma Health. I'm delighted to be a part of the first ever Health and Wellness Student Summit organized by the South Carolina High School League. This summit is asking for your undivided attention for 2 hours, just 120 minutes that will positively impact your life. You all have been adjusting to a life-changing event. COVID-19 has hit all of us hard, but people your age may have been affected the most in terms of activities and daily life. By not being able to physically attend school, hang out with your friends, or play sports, which is pretty tough for student athletes. As you navigate through these challenging times, you're not alone. Prisma Health has a team more than 28,000 strong across the Midlands and the Upstate to help you and your team stay healthy. From fitness and nutrition to sleep and mental health, we're here around the clock to support your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. We even offer COVID-19 vaccines at many of our primary care practices. Speaking of practice, some of you may be familiar with our athletic trainers. Prisma Health supplies 80 certified athletic trainers at 135 schools across our state. To make sure student athletes play safely, and if injury does occur, expertise is on hand for immediate treatment and rehabilitation afterward. Our highly trained orthopedic doctors are nationally renowned and have years of dedicated experience working with athletes on the professional, collegiate, and high school level. We're the official team doctors for both the Gamecocks and the Tigers. So should you suffer an injury, our orthopedic surgeons have what it takes to help you safely return to playing condition. So how will we change your life in 2 hours today? We're going to expand your playbook by sharing ways to maintain good health and conditioning, both now and far into the future. Know that at Prisma Health, our care professionals are always on your team to help you with learning the keys for good health. And good health is always a winner. Prisma Health welcomes you to the Health and Wellness Summit. Just 120 minutes, and the clock starts now.
Okay, here at the lead, we've got some doctors from around the state that are going to make a tremendous difference, not only for your athletes, but this will benefit any and every student within your school. However, many of you have not signed up. This summit is Thursday. This Thursday is virtually, it's free. It is from 9 to 12. Immediately following this meeting, I'm going to send a link to each and every one of you. I can't stress the importance of exposing this to our students. It is a great opportunity for your kids to expand that playbook. Thank you, Amy, for this opportunity.
All right. Thank you, Danny. And yes, that is a great opportunity. It's something new that our office is expanding on. So hopefully some of your students can take the opportunity to join that Health and Wellness Student Summit on Thursday. I told you to plan for an hour, and we've actually gotten in under an hour for sure. So didn't want to wanted to make sure that information we shared was important and beneficial to you. If you have questions, again, don't hesitate to reach out and call. Promise you, you're not disturbing our office. That's what we're here for. We're here to assist you. So anytime you're unsure about something, pick up the phone, give me a call, or send me an email. I'll be happy to assist you. We wish you all the best of luck as you begin this 2021-22 season. We remind you to stay safe, and we did send out some general recommendations regarding COVID, and just that you look at those and do what best fits the need of your school. So with that, we will be closing. Commissioner Singleton, do you have anything you want to add at the end?
Thank you, Amy. We gave you a lot. We gave it to you fast, but recognize that we're here for you. You can come back to us and we'll go over any of that information with you individually. Also, don't hesitate to take advantage of our office. If you have a staff meeting of your coaching staff that you wish to have one of our commissioners or myself present, just give us a call. We're willing to come out and do that. So anything that can help you. If you have a parent meeting of which you wish to have one of our staff members be present, we'll be glad to do that. We're in this together. So please take advantage of whatever we have for you, and we're glad to share more and more and more and more. As far as the summit that we have coming up, I hope that all of you get your students involved and be a part of that, because it truly is good information that can be shared. And we want to take advantage of those opportunities also. So please get them signed up. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything, just some time. And in fact, you can almost organize it for your class if it works for you.
Indeed. All right. Thank you all again. And like I said at the beginning, this meeting was recorded and will be posted on our website. So if you need to refer back to any of it, you can, and everything that was covered can be found in our middle school rules and regulations. But again, if you need to contact our office, we are here for you. And again, good luck to you this season. That concludes our meeting for today.